Today we have a Hisense Mini LED sibling battle of the Hisense U7Q versus the U8Q. Up next.
I've seen things you people wouldn't believe.
Hey, what's up guys? I'm Brian. This is Tech Therapy. Thank you so much for joining me for this Hisense ULED sibling mini LED battle between the U7Q and the U8Q. Now the U7Q is excellent. The U8Q is really the flagship for consumers in regards to their ULED mini LED lineup. The U9Q, to my knowledge, isn't really available or widely available. But what I love that Hisense does is the U7 and the U8 are very close. You need a video like this to be able to really tell them apart and judge for yourself if the 8 is worth it over the 7. Without further ado, let's check out the Hisense U7Q versus the Hisense U8Q. Thank you so much for watching. All right, guys, let's do it. Build quality and design. The Hisense U7Q is on the right, Hisense U8Q on the left. Build quality and design is so important when talking about the differences, especially with siblings in regards to price. We have a single center stand with 2 plastic feet underneath with a plastic cover over the top, but it is a standard stand. Small Hisense badging on the left-hand side. Small plastic black bezel around the entire frame of the Hisense U7Q. Hisense U8Q has a very heavy metal stand. 2 positions, both flush and higher. We're in the higher position now. Black anodized shiny bezel. Very small Hisense badging as well in the center. It's slightly taller than the U7Q in its highest position, but it can be about an inch shorter in its lowest position. The U7Q has 1 position. The U8Q's design is very unique among other manufacturers' mini LEDs, but it's very much like the UX line from Hisense. You also have a display port on the right-hand side. Again, very unique. You also have speakers throughout the U8Q. It is one of the best sounding TVs on the market. While the U7Q has a more simple standard design, their design has changed each and every year. It is slightly different than last year's U7N. You also have speakers throughout. It does have a good amount of zones, so it is more thick than some of the thinner mini LEDs. It is extremely bright. They both look fantastic, yet very different. On the backhand side, you do have a textured back, but it is hard plastic. You do have speakers throughout, detachable power cable, and there you have the speaker system. It does sound very good. There's the 2 legs combined, some cable management. Hisense does not get enough credit for their HDMIs. They have 4 HDMI 2.1s on the U7Q, all capable of 4K 165. We'll talk about that later in the gaming portion. But you can see the texture differences between the 2 TVs. The U7Q, while well built, doesn't feel as premium as the more sleek U8Q. Here you have the black anodized speaker system. The U7Q also sounds excellent. The U8Q will have more bass and have a deeper sound. Here you have 3 HDMI 2.1, all capable of 165 with 4K, and then you have the display port on the left-hand side. Both include the more premium backlit remote. The U8Q, not only is it built like a tank, it is very heavy and well built. So you can see the differences in design and build quality between the 2. Let's get into some reflection handling. Both TVs are extremely bright and will do well in any room in your home. Let's go back and forth between the 2. You can see while they're both glossy, the U8Q does have better reflection handling when sitting dead center. We're going to get the window in both shots here. You can see that it's a bit muddy on the U7Q and clear on the U8Q. Breaking out a very bright light, just to see how the reflection handling is. They're very similar in this test, but you can also see me a little bit more clear, or I should say more exposed on the U7Q. And you can see how it muddies it up a bit on the U7Q while it's clear on the U8Q. Both are excellent, but the slight edge goes to the Hisense U8Q over the U7Q. All right, guys, let's get those lights off and really look at these two amazing ULED mini LEDs from Hisense side by side. Now, even through this first set of demos, you're going to see some pretty significant differences between the two. They may be significant to you, they may not be. But what I want to be able to do in this video is show you the TVs. That is my style as a creator. I'm only in the intro for a few seconds. The rest of the time, it's about the TVs and showing you as much different types of content, anywhere from 1,000 nits up to 10,000 nits, which will really separate these two TVs. I want to thank you guys for being here and for watching this video. Please consider liking and subscribing, and also in the comments, please leave me a very detailed comment about the differences that you personally see between the U8Q and the U7Q. Make them as long and detailed as possible. Let's get into the picture preset overview and comparison. My purpose for the picture preset comparisons is to show you how each TV looks in every preset that the TV comes with. For me, the picture presets are the signature of the manufacturer, especially among siblings. To put it in filmmaker and call it a day is lazy in my opinion. I want to be able to show you every preset that those TVs have to offer. They do look very different depending on the preset. And again, for me, the preset is the signature. Plus, each of you watch your TV very differently. Some of you don't want the most accurate preset. You want to watch in standard, sports, or vivid. I want to be able to show you each and every one. Now we'll go into one of the presets. They are all reset to their default, just to show you that even among siblings, every setting from every preset between the U8Q and the U7Q is matched exactly the same. So when you see different colors on the screen, that is not due to any settings. That is actually how they appear in person. So we're rolling forward with the HDR Theater preset. You can see here the differences in color. That is not the camera sensor. That is how they look in person right in front of me. And you can see there's more depth and more color on the U8Q over the U7Q. This is visible in nearly every shot. And now we're going to move out of HDR Theater and move into the standard preset with the storm demos from our good friend Jennifer Gala. The point of this is the saturation and brightness of both. The one you see clipping is typically the brighter TV. It's hard to capture them both at all times. So if you see one clip slightly, that typically will be the TV that is brighter. There are other shots where you'll see more detail on one or the other. The U7Q a lot of times will have a more natural, albeit perhaps more pale image. The U7Q is much more refined than last year's very good U7N. The U7N was very wild and unrefined. U7Q much better in that regard. Both look excellent in the standard preset. Let's move into Filmmaker and check out our color accuracy. Now, quickly, why I want your feedback in the comments is I'm here to show you how these two TVs look, and I'm here to give you some of my narrative on what I see, but I'm not here to talk at you. I really want you to be able to tell me what you see and the differences that your eye picks up. Me talking at you is really not my style. Tell me what you see and tell me which you prefer. Sometimes you may prefer the more natural look of the Hisense U7Q. It is really up to you to decide which you prefer. Now, the reason you're seeing demo material throughout this video is twofold. One, you're seeing amazing content from Jennifer Gala that is anywhere from 1,000 nits to 10,000 nits. This will clearly make the TVs look different. You'll see the differences. If everything was below 1,000 nits, they would look identical in most shots. Also, YouTube's copyright policy is very strict, and regardless of who you see showing movies on the platform, I will not take that chance. I will show you as much of these TVs as possible versus showing a few seconds of movies and then jumping back and forth to my face. Up next, local dimming. Punishing demo here for local dimming. You have the steam, the rain, the transition over, and the lights on the train. The U7Q has a color temperature, which is cooler, though they are in the same preset and the same color temperature. In our local dimming drip, the U8Q is brighter initially, and then you'll see them both normalize. What we're looking for here is haloing, and if both TVs retain their brightness as the screens fill up. And they both do, but again, you can see the color appears more cool on the U7Q versus the U8Q, even though those color temperatures are set the same in the preset. Again, why this content is so valuable is you can't simulate this in a movie, even if I could show you one. Also, these aren't patterns that the TV manufacturers can use to trick you. This content is very dynamic. The TVs have to respond organically. So there is no acing the test because it's a pattern that they can figure out. Let's move into our black bar test, and both TVs do an excellent job of keeping those black bars nice and dark, especially on angle. We'll go off angle in a moment, but the local dimming is excellent on both, considering that they are that bright. Especially on the U7Q, it is very bright and the local dimming is excellent. Let's pop the camera off the tripod and go off angle and really see what the local dimming is like on both TVs. The U8Q is definitely brighter. And again, you have the cooler temperature on the U7Q, but let's push off angle, and then there is more haloing evident on the U7Q versus the U8Q. Even off angle, though it is highlighted a bit, it is much better in this regard. We're going to push again off angle on the U8Q. You can see a little bit of haloing there at the bottom, and then you'll see more haloing here on the U7Q. Now the exposure is up a bit. I'm trying to show it to you versus hide it. So you are going to see it more than you might see it in person. But the U8Q, definitely the better pick off angle than the U7Q. That said, U7Q is very good for such a bright TV. Let's do the same off angle for our black bar test. You'll see here the U8Q is as good as you're going to see on any mini LED, and the U7Q does very well. But you can see a little bit of that haloing as I move the camera around. Dead center, they both look nearly the same. Let's go a little harder off angle on the U7Q, and you'll see a little bit of that purplish haze in the black bars on the bottom. Still an amazing result for such a bright TV, being the U7Q, absolutely perfect on the U8Q. That's the differences you're going to see in local dimming and what you're really going to pay for. Great result by the U7Q though. Let's push it into the vivid preset, check the brightness on both, and really push these TVs. You can see here we are at 3000 nits, and they both look nearly equal. Slight edge to the U8Q, especially when that flash showed up on the right-hand side. Again, the U7Q will at times, in person especially, look brighter than the U8Q simply because the U8Q's local dimming is more aggressive, though more controlled. So there are times, like you see here, where the U7Q will appear brighter, but almost in every shot, it's going to be the U8Q, but not by a lot. And that's what I love about Hisense and how they stagger their lineups. The U7Q is not far behind the U8Q at all, but those subtle differences, in my opinion, are definitely worth the price difference, but you're getting so much for the money with both models. Let's move on to sports and motion. Now, in regards to pricing, they are only a few $100 difference from each other. The U8Q comes in sizes from 55 inches to 100 inches, and the U7Q is from sizes of 55 inches to 100 inches and even 116 inches. Absolutely ridiculous. Both TVs offer excellent motion and also a lot of customization in regards to their motion settings. What Hisense does that I don't like, and they've done it in the past, is having different panel types for different sizes. So therefore, I can only speak on the TVs that are in front of me. And they are 65 inches and they are VA panels. Different sizes may be ADS Pro. But as you can see here, they handle motion very well. A very special shout out to my hero and the one and only Jennifer Gala and her second channel, HDR SUPER CHANNEL. The majority of content seen within this video in intro is from both of those channels. Please check the description below for links to both channels and consider becoming a Patreon member to Jennifer's main Jennifer Gala channel and download all of this amazing content in both Dolby Vision and Dolby Atmos. Thank you so much, Jen. Nearly 16 minutes into the video, what are you guys seeing? Please let me know in detail in the comments. Which do you prefer? And if you do prefer the U8Q over the U7Q, is it worth the $200 to $300 price difference depending on the size? Now, truthfully, the only way to see the difference is to have these TVs side by side, which is why I'm grateful that I've had them since launch and I'm able to compare them not only to each other, but to other manufacturers. And you'll see much of that content throughout the year from me. Lastly, the goal of this video is to show you these TVs as much as possible. I've stated that several times in the video. I also don't watch other review channels or other reviews. I want to go by what I see, and what I see is what I'm delivering to you here on camera. Picking content that'll really bring out the differences between both models. Like here, both are very bright, but you'll see the cooler image on the U7Q. That is visible in person. Now, is that visible if they're not side by side? No, but that is the point. I want to show you what you're getting when you choose one over the other and have you decipher if that's worth it to you. If these differences matter, you know which one to purchase. What's also important for me is if you think the U7Q is close enough to the U8Q, then you may be able to say to yourself, you know what, let me get a larger U7Q versus a smaller U8Q. Maybe go for a 75-inch or an 85-inch or a 100-inch. That's what I love about these comparisons. I'd rather see you get the one that fits your needs the most. If in doubt, go with the larger TV if the quality is close enough, and the U7Q is close enough. But as you saw earlier in the video, in terms of build quality and design, the U8Q is clearly the more premium model. It also does have slightly better sound, though the U7Q sound is also excellent. Both TVs are absolutely beautiful, but these quality of life features are really here to show you the differences again between the two and help you make a better decision. Watching Hisense's ascension from value-based TV to industry leader, and they are an industry leader, literally having mini LED from the U65QF all the way up through their lineup, also being the first to market with an RGB mini LED with the 116UX, as well as having micro LED TVs. They really are changing the industry. Again, value-based. Still, even with these high-end TVs, they do have incredible value at nearly every size. That said, are you willing to give Hisense a chance? They have come so far in regards to image quality and picture processing, as well as reliability. The screen uniformity on both the U8Q and U7Q and the models that I have are excellent. They have come so far in every regard. Where are you in choosing them? Would you choose them? Having all these models from all these sizes is incredible. Let's quickly check SDR. SDR performance is excellent on both the U8Q and the U7Q, and why SDR is important is the majority of content a lot of people watch is not HDR streaming. Typically it's sports and your cable box, and both the U8Q and U7Q are very good in this regard. They also add, or Hisense adds, another preset for theater day and theater night. Both are very bright and excellent. We'll move forward with theater day. Now, the differences between the two are a little closer than they were in HDR, but the same differences do apply here. You will see more color or a bit more saturation on the U8Q than the U7Q. Not a huge difference, but it is there. Again, both TVs are very good in SDR, no complaints at all, especially in terms of the brightness, but you do see more saturation and more color on the U8Q. Let's move into Dolby Vision. Now, using Dolby Vision Frankenstein on Netflix, and it is demo worthy. While the U8Q is the brighter TV, the U7Q is brighter in this content by quite a bit, but you are losing some detail. For me, this is where the refinement of the U8Q and the nuance in image quality in both color and detail really shows up. There's just more depth. But you may prefer the HDR impact, though you lose detail on the U7Q. If you walk in the room side by side, your eyes might be drawn to the brighter U7Q, thinking it's the U8Q. But that's what I love about what the U8Q does. More depth, more detail. And the results in HDR 10+ are very similar to those in Dolby Vision. Similar to the Frankenstein shot, you have a brighter image on the U7Q, but brighter specular highlights, more depth and color on the U8Q. Let's move into our legendary Colombo upscaling test, and both TVs are excellent. Now, in upscaling, Hisense has come a very long way in their upscaling of below 1080p content. Colombo is legendary, and he looks great on both TVs. Let's move into gaming on the PS5 Pro. Both the U8Q and U7Q have 4K 165Hz capabilities, meaning they'd both be excellent on PC. They have identical game bars in terms of features, though they do look slightly different. Their functionality is the same. This is where the brightness difference will disappear on the U8Q, as in gaming they are nearly the exact same picture brightness. Make sure your dynamic tone mapping is enabled. It is off in HDR by default on both TVs. They do look very similar in gaming, but you do have that cooler color temperature that we've seen throughout the video on the U7Q. Both are excellent. We'll go through the gaming sub-menu so you can see all the features that both TVs offer, and they are both identical in this regard. So each has the same capabilities as the other. The U8Q has 3 HDMI 2.1 capable of 4K 165Hz, as well as a display port. This is very unique to the Hisense U8Q and could be very important for PC gamers. The Hisense U7Q has 4 HDMI 2.1, all of them capable of 4K 165Hz. That is a big deal, as a lot of other manufacturers will have only 2 HDMI 2.1, and here is Hisense with 4, and then again having 3 on the U8Q with DisplayPort. Here we are in Ghost of Yotai, showing you differences in HDR impact, and they are very similar. The color temperature really being the big difference between the two. The U8Q does have better local dimming. It's not quite as important in its gaming presets of both. Both look fantastic and very similar. And they are close enough, in my opinion, that if you are gaming most of the time, I would go with the more affordable U7Q or go with a larger U7Q, as it does appear even a bit brighter like it did in the Dolby Vision and HDR 10+ scenes, but the detail and the depth isn't as evident as it was in that content. So if gaming is your main choice, go with a larger U7Q and save some money. For me, Hisense really does show forward thinking and leading the way, because they have embraced 4K 165, not just on the U8Q, which would have been easy, but also on the U7Q. The DisplayPort is a nice feature, not necessary, especially since we all have HDMI 2.1, but if you do have a GPU with DisplayPort, it is a very cool feature to have. To me, they are equal in regards to gaming. Just choose whatever one you like best or which one fits your budget, but they're both excellent, and again, Hisense excellent for gaming. In closing, both the Hisense U8Q and U7Q are phenomenal mini-LED TVs. The U7Q clearly being the better value and close enough if you want to save some money and go with a larger size. However, for me, the U8Q is definitely worth the differences in price just for its depth, its more saturated color, also for it being brighter when it counts. The U7Q can look brighter at times, but the U8Q is brighter where it needs to be in the image while retaining the most detail, and it has, in my opinion, the better color. I'm Brian. This is Tech Therapy. Please consider liking and subscribing. Thank you so much for watching. Love you guys. Take care.
It's better to burn out than to fade away.